Hi, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tristan. Today I am back with another video here. Another win for the Flyers. Really solid win tonight. Overall, I mean, you pick up 2 points. That's the biggest thing. Not necessarily the best game system-wise, I guess, for the Flyers. They only had 7 shots through the last 40 minutes of this game. 3 in the second period, 8 shots, 3 in the second period. They added 1, 5 in the third for the Flyers. But they had 13 in the first period, and they scored 3 goals. And an early one in the second period that made it 4-0, and that was pretty much all it was for this one. I mean, the last game, Flyers were really flat for the first period, really good 40 minutes. Tonight, really good first period, flat for the next 40 minutes. It was kind of just like a complete opposite of the last game against the Panthers for this team. You know, it's not really hard for me to start with this one. I mean, the first period was the main chunk of action. 3 goals from the Flyers. Before we get into that, let's get into the lines. Tippett, Couturier, Atkinson, Farabee, Frost, Konechny, Forrester, Paling, and Cates, and then Lawton and Hathaway, and then the Flyers with Zamula as the 7th defenseman. So they go York with Sanheim, Sealer with Walker, Stahl with Drysdale, and then Zamula, and then Sam Ersson. That obviously no Ristolainen. That looked like it was going to be trade speculation right away. That was shut down because of illness. So, you know, for Stahl, he comes in. He missed the last 8 games, 12 of the last 13. He comes in. I mean, Stahl is Stahl. I didn't think he was great tonight. For anyone, if there's people out there that wonder what I think about Stahl, I mean, he's a 7th defenseman that plays in every couple of games. I mean, there really isn't much else to say outside of that. Flyers, though, I mean, really good first period. Like, I mean, it was a complete opposite. It was literally what they did in the Florida game for the last 40 minutes. They forechecked, they won pucks, they had a ton of time of possession in the offensive zone. They moved the puck around. They generated a ton of scoring chances at 13 shots. They get the first goal of the game from Forrester. Beautiful pass by Paling. Since the contract extension, Paling has been really solid. I think Paling's had a good season. There's been some games where, a little up and down, but who hasn't been like that? And again, it's another good, easy, simple signing for this team because it's a guy that is on a cheaper deal at 2 years at 1.9 for the extension. He's 1 year, 1.4 for this season. So again, a $500K boost. And he gets a little bit of term, place he likes to play. The team actually obviously loves him. I mean, guys like Drysdale, York, Frost, Tippett, they seem to be in that younger kind of group together, which is really nice to see. And those guys, they've been clicking, and Forrester with 3 goals in his last 3 games. I mean, it's good to see. This is a good time for him to get hot, and I'm hoping he can kind of continue it. With Cates, he gets a goal last game. You get Forrester back on the board tonight. It's something you want to see. Frost is another one. We'll talk about him here in a minute. Konechny fights with Pionk. Had the Gordie Howe hat trick in the first period. The last Gordie Howe hat trick was actually 2 Flyers in the first period. It was Wayne Simmons and Dale Weiss, March 30th, 2017. It was actually it was a Thursday night as well. Playing the Islanders at home. Flyers had a 5-0 lead at the end of the first period, and Simmons and Weiss scoring. They had some fights. Simmons was the last one because he got the fight last before Weiss. Or Weiss got the fight before Simmons, so Simmons was technically the last guy, but it was 2 in the first period. But TK fights with Pionk. And it's one of those ones where it's like, I tweeted it earlier. I didn't have Konechny fighting on my bingo card this year, but I love it. Like, he's not a guy that I want to obviously go up again every night, but every once in a while, hell yeah, stick up for yourself, battle. I mean, that's what Konechny does. He's a grinder. I mean, they call him a rat. I mean, there's all of that stuff. So really good to see Flyers get a power play. Tippett with a high stick. Good movement. I thought they'd pass it around. I thought it was a pretty good power play for only having 1 against the Panthers. And they haven't really had a ton of power plays in recent games. So that was definitely something that I was like, all right, let's maybe see what we could do with the power play here. Because again, like they said, they haven't really gotten many. And they kind of, the power play has been obviously bad. And I don't just want to say that because it's a very boring adjective, but it's it's just been so off. I feel like that like they've had so many different units and different guys and so many guys in different spots. Like they had the 5-on-3 in the third period and they used York in the bumper. I'm like, why? And like I get it, you're up 4-0. You're not going to put your high end guys out there, but like, what are we doing here? You got a 5-on-3 for almost a minute. Like, I know you're not trying to score. Well, I mean, you are trying to score, but you're not trying to throw your top end guys out there. But anyway, they moved it around well, and then Farabee got hit by Lowry. He got away from most of it, but he did get a decent chunk of them, and thankfully Farabee kind of steered away from that. I thought the Flyers did a really good job in the first period with the little details, stick positioning, guys getting back, wingers being in position, having good, backtracking from the center, stuff like that. All of that stuff. They get another power play. It was a slash on Niederreiter. Again, good movement. They moved a lot of plays back and forth. Farabee and Farster had a nice little give and go in tight. Farabee's been so good. He's been so good. I think he's underratedly been one of their best forward. In some ways, I don't think overall, obviously that's Konechny, but Farabee is just as good as TK. I mean, he's just been incredible. Frost had a pretty bad turnover, then recovered with a good pass. All Flyers here. Then Konechny scores. Lucky one deflected off of Pionk, who he took down to the ice and stared at. One assist off the Gordie Howe hat trick, and then he gets it. Frost scores 3-0. It was a chance in front for Tippett. Frost slam dunk right and tight. Brossoit was terrible tonight, to be honest. The first goal for him was not good. The second goal for him was kind of a weird bounce, not much you could do there. Third one, similar kind of thing. The fourth one was terrible, and I loved it because obviously it's a Flyers goal. Why wouldn't I? Ersson had some really good saves early in the second period. Flyers had a really good first period, and then the Jets get the power play early here, and 4-0. Poehling scores. Fumbled puck at the point. Poehling with all that burst of speed. I mean, Poehling probably had his best game as a Flyer tonight. I mean, he was great. Short-handed goal, 4-0. He just jumps on a puck, snipes it off the opposite side, blocker side. Ersson had a couple nice saves on the penalty kill as well. And it was really all Flyers up until this point. And then around like the last maybe 8 minutes or so late in the second period, from the rest of the game on, it was pretty much spent in the Flyers' end. I didn't necessarily think the Flyers played the best way to close out a game like that, but they kind of could. They could do it because they were up 4-0. They had a good lead. Again, the Jets, they spent a ton of time in the Flyers' end. Wasn't the best second period. They only had one shot in the last 12 minutes or so. They credited the Flyers with one with the last couple of seconds. So they actually would have went shotless for the last 11:44, but they did get credit with one. So one shot in, I'd say 11:44, 12 minutes, whatever it was. Third period, they go in. Jets get a power play. It was a delay of game. They didn't do anything with it. And Winnipeg's been off recently. They get shut out in Pittsburgh. They've taken a good chunk of penalties recently. They haven't been able to score goals. I was watching some of their other games. I watched that game, I believe it was last Saturday against Winnipeg. And they looked pretty bad, against Toronto in Winnipeg. And they didn't really look good in that game either. I'm thinking to myself, all right, maybe this might be I don't know if this is the Jets from last year where it's the same thing around this time. They're just going to completely fall off or what. But it did not seem like the best game for them overall. They just couldn't not generate chances, but they couldn't finish anything. And Ersson was very good. I mean, for a guy in Ersson who I didn't think really had a standout game before the break, he's had two of them. And, he's had some good moments. He's had to be called upon, and he's answered the bell. And it's been good to see. I'm curious how they're going to do this with Peterson, because they have some days off, and they go basically as of right now when you're looking at the standings and things like that for the Flyers, 27-19-6 with 60 points, 4 points above the Islanders, 3 points back of second. Pittsburgh and the Devils are now 7 points behind. Capitals are 9, and then Columbus is all the way at the bottom. But when you're looking at the schedule and you're looking at kind of just where the Flyers kind of fit this and where I'm specifically talking here, you have it's hard because I think the one thing with the Flyers is you obviously have some days off, and you have the Stadium Series. You don't have a ton of games. You have Saturday against the Kraken. That's in Philly, 7 o'clock game. Monday in Philly, Arizona. Then you're off for 2 days. Then you're Thursday in Toronto, and then Saturday's the Stadium Series. Obviously, Urson is playing in the Stadium Series. So, I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? So, and then the Flyers are off for 3 days, and then they play Wednesday, February 21st. So, you got a little bit of a break here. My guess, I would go Urson Saturday, and then Peterson Monday, and then I would go Urson, and then I'd go right back to Urson at the end of it. But I would give Peterson the Coyotes, because, again, the Coyotes aren't, like, the best team. Neither is Seattle, but it's, you know, it's Saturday night and all that, too, and Urson's kind of riding a little bit of a high here, and you know, might be good to kind of give them, you know, a day off kind of in between and then kind of get right back at it on the 15th there. So we shall see. Should be interesting. Let me know your guys' thoughts below. Thanks, everybody, again, for all the support. As always, make sure to check out Maher Media for all things Flyers hockey. Also, we just announced today that we are doing a trade deadline stream. Me and Paul Jackson, we're going to be doing one from 11 a.m. to 3 here on YouTube and on Twitter. We'll be covering everything around the NHL, trade deadline, all that stuff. So thanks, everybody, again, for all the support, as always. Make sure to check out the stream, all that stuff. And, yeah, I'll talk to you guys all again soon.